there is something that happens to millions of women every single day, and almost none of them talk about it. You finish using the bathroom, you stand up, you pull up your clothes, and then it happens. A small drip, just enough to make you feel like your body betrayed you. You go back, you try again, nothing. You walk away. And there it is again, that tiny, humiliating moment that you have learned to manage with extra tissue, darker pants, and complete silence. If that is you, I need you to stay right here, because what I am about to share changes everything you thought you knew about why this is happening, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it starting today. My name is Dr. Eleanor Whitaker, and I have spent over 2 decades working with women going through hormonal transitions, perimenopause, menopause, and everything in between. And in all that time, the one symptom that women are most embarrassed to bring up, the one they write off as just getting older, the one they quietly manage alone, is exactly this: the drip that stays after you think you are done. And I want you to know something before we go any further. This is not about weakness. This is not about aging. And this is absolutely not something you simply have to accept. What most women do not realize is that this specific symptom, this post-void drip, is one of the earliest and most consistent signs that something is shifting inside your hormonal system. Something that began quietly years before you noticed it, and something that, if left unaddressed, does not stay small. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I am going to explain exactly what is happening inside your body, why this is connected to something much deeper than your bladder, and I am going to walk you through what I call the S-curve technique, a simple, specific method that works with your body's own mechanics to stop this from happening. No surgery, no medication, no embarrassing devices, just an understanding of how your body actually works, and a technique that most women have never been taught. Let me start by asking you something. Have you noticed that this drip has gotten worse over the last year or two? Maybe it was barely there at first, just an occasional thing, something you could brush off. But lately it feels more frequent, more noticeable. Maybe it happens almost every time now. If that is true, I want you to understand that your body has been trying to tell you something for a long time. And the message is not about your bladder. The message is about your hormones. Here is what nobody explains clearly enough. Estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone. Estrogen is a tissue hormone. It maintains the health, the elasticity, and the strength of tissues all throughout your body, including the tissues of your urethra, your pelvic floor muscles, and the delicate network of nerves that control when and how your bladder releases. When estrogen levels begin to decline, which starts happening gradually in most women somewhere in their mid-30s and accelerates significantly through perimenopause, all of those tissues begin to change. They lose their tone. They lose their elasticity. The nerve signaling becomes less precise. And what you experience as that frustrating, embarrassing post-void drip is actually your body responding to a change that has been building internally for years. This is why no amount of just trying harder to empty your bladder fully is solving the problem, because the issue is not effort. The issue is tissue. The issue is a hormonal shift that has quietly changed the way your body manages something it used to do automatically without you ever having to think about it. Now, I want to tell you about a pattern I have seen repeated so many times in my practice that it stopped surprising me years ago. A woman comes in, usually somewhere between 42 and 55, and she says something like, "I do not know what is happening to my body." She is tired in a way that sleep does not fix. She has noticed weight settling around her middle even though nothing about her diet changed. Her moods feel less predictable. Her sleep feels lighter, more broken. And then, almost as an afterthought, almost like she is embarrassed to mention it, she says, "And I have this issue after I use the bathroom." Like a little drip. I thought it was just me getting older. And every single time, I have to tell her the same thing. It is not just you. It is not just aging. And the fact That all of these things are happening at the same time is not a coincidence. These are all signals from the same system. Your hormonal system is shifting, and your body is speaking in every language it has. What makes the post-void drip particularly telling is its connection to the pelvic floor. Most people think of the pelvic floor as one muscle. It is not. It is an entire network of muscles, connective tissue, and fascia that supports your bladder, your uterus, and your bowel. And like every other tissue in your body, this network is profoundly influenced by estrogen. As estrogen declines, the pelvic floor loses its ability to maintain precise tension. It becomes slightly less coordinated, and the result is that after you void, a small amount of urine pools in the urethra, and then when you stand up and that pressure changes, gravity and movement push it out before the muscles have time to respond. That is the drip. That is what is happening. And knowing this changes everything, because now we are not trying to fix something mysterious. We are working with a specific, understandable mechanism. This is exactly where the S-curve technique comes in. And I want you to pay close attention here, because this is not what you have likely read about before. Most advice about post-void drip tells women to do Kegel exercises. And while Kegels have their place, they address only one part of the equation. What I call the S-curve technique works on 3 levels simultaneously. It addresses the position of the urethra, the pressure dynamics in the pelvic cavity, and the timing of muscular response. And the reason it is called the S-curve is because it is based on the natural anatomical curve of the female urethra, which is shaped in a way that, when you position your body correctly before standing, uses gravity to your advantage instead of against you. Here is the technique. Before you stand up from the toilet, you are going to do 3 things in sequence. First, you lean slightly forward, bringing your weight onto the front of your feet rather than your heels. This shifts the angle of the urethra and allows any remaining fluid to drain completely before you add vertical pressure. Second, while in that forward position, you take 1 slow breath in through your nose, and as you breathe out, you gently and deliberately engage your lower abdominal muscles, not a squeeze, not a Kegel, but a soft inward and upward draw of the lower belly. This creates a subtle pressure differential that supports the urethra from above while you are still seated. Third, you pause for just 3 seconds in that position before you stand. 3 seconds. Not because you need to fully empty, because your body likely has already, but because those 3 seconds give the muscles of your pelvic floor time to re-engage and create a seal before gravity takes over. That sequence, the forward lean, the exhale draw, and the 3-second pause, is the S-curve technique. And for many women, the difference is immediate. But here is what I need you to understand. The technique works, and it will help you today. But it is working around a deeper issue, not through it. Because the reason your pelvic floor needs help coordinating this response at all is the hormonal shift happening underneath. And that shift does not pause. It does not wait. If the tissue changes continue without support, the technique becomes harder to maintain. The window where the body responds most readily to natural support begins to close. And I see this in practice more times than I can count. Women who wait until the symptoms are significant before they address the underlying hormonal picture find that the body needs so much more to respond. Women who catch it early, who recognize the signals and respond while the system is still in a transitional state, those are the women who describe feeling like themselves again within weeks. And I want to talk to you about that for a moment, because there is something happening right now in this moment for a lot of the women watching this. You recognize yourself in what I am describing. The drip is real, but there is also the tiredness, the unexpected weight around your middle, the mornings where motivation feels thin, the nights where you wake at 2 or 3 and cannot explain why, the feeling that something shifted and you cannot quite name it. And if that is you, I need you to hear this clearly. What you are experiencing is not personal failure. It is not weakness. It is not inevitable decline. It is a hormonal transition that your body was not designed to navigate alone in the modern environment, with the level of chronic stress, the processed food, the environmental exposures that all directly interfere with your endocrine system's ability to self-regulate. This is the moment in the video where I want to pause and speak directly to you, because I know that a lot of women watching this have been quietly managing these things for longer than they want to admit. You have been adjusting, accepting, telling yourself it is just part of getting older. And there is something I hear from women regularly that stops me every time. They say, "I thought this was just how it was going to be now." And I want you to know that there is a link below this video and in the first comment. It leads to something that has been helping thousands of women in exactly your position support their hormonal balance naturally. Not a cure, not a magic solution, but a way of giving your body the specific nutritional and botanical support that the research increasingly shows can make a meaningful difference during this transition. Women who felt exactly the way you do right now, tired, frustrated, quietly managing something embarrassing, who found that link and decided to try, and who came back to say that something shifted. Not overnight, but genuinely. I want that for you. So please, before you close this video, look at that link. It is there because it matters. Now, let me bring this back to what happens when we do not address the underlying picture, because this is important. The post-void drip does not typically stay at the same level. Without support for the hormonal environment that governs pelvic floor tissue, the changes tend to progress. What starts as occasional becomes frequent. What is manageable becomes limiting. I have worked with women who stopped going to exercise classes, who started planning their outings around bathroom access, who quietly withdrew from things they loved because the physical uncertainty made them anxious. And in every case, the beginning of that progression looked exactly like what you are experiencing right now. A small drip, easy to ignore, easy to explain away. That is the nature of gradual change. It moves slowly enough that you adjust to each stage before you realize how far you have traveled from where you started. Your body right now is still in a responsive state. The tissues are changing, but they are still capable of responding to the right support. The hormonal system is shifting, but it is still a system that can be influenced by what you give it. This is the window, not in an alarmist sense, but in a genuinely practical sense. The women who act during this phase are the ones who describe the best outcomes, not because they found a miracle, but because they gave their body support at the moment when the body could most effectively use it. The S-curve technique will help you today, and I want you to use it. Lean forward, exhale and draw, pause 3 seconds, then stand. Practice it every time. It works with your anatomy, not against it. But please do not stop there. The link below this video and in the first comment leads to something designed specifically to support what is happening hormonally for women in your stage of this journey. Something that works on the tissue level, the hormonal level, and the nervous system's ability to coordinate the responses your body used to do automatically. Thousands of women have found it. Women who are where you are right now, quietly managing, quietly adjusting, quietly hoping something would change. And something did change because they made one decision and followed through on it. You came to this video for a reason. Something in your body, something in your experience brought you here. That is not nothing. That is your awareness working. And awareness without action is just discomfort with a name. You now have the technique. You now understand what is actually happening in your body. And you have a place to go to take the next step in a way that is natural, that is researched, and that is designed for exactly where you are. The link is below. It is in the first comment. Take a look before you close this tab, because your body has been sending signals long enough. It is time to actually listen.